4 stories in the news for Monday, June 25. UN watchdog blasts Liberals on housing. PLANA. United Nations housing watchdog is taking the Liberals to task over what she sees as the government's about-face on a promise to put a human rights lens on its housing strategy. In a scathing letter to Prime Minister Trudeau, Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to housing, says her support for the strategy is waning. She says her charge of heart is based on indications the Liberals may not recognize the right to housing, and legislation expected this fall that would enshrine the 10-year, $40 billion program into law. See. Difficile cases fall 36% in hospitals. A new study says rates of Clostridium difficile, an often recurring bacterial infection of the colon that causes debilitating diarrhea, have fallen dramatically in hospitals across Canada since 2009. Researchers report hospital-associated C. difficile infections dropped by 36% between 2009 and 2015. Their study, published today in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, credits improvements in infection control measures, such as more judicious use of antibiotics, frequent hand washing and more frequent, intense cleaning of hospital facilities. Closing arguments today at Millard trial. Prosecution and defense are expected to give closing arguments today in the case of a Toronto man accused of killing his father, whose death was initially ruled a suicide. Millard, 32, has pleaded not guilty to the first-degree murder of his father, Wayne Millard, who died in 2012. The Crown closed its case on Friday after the judge ruled out crucial evidence from a shooting reconstruction officer who said he believed Wayne Millard did not shoot himself in the face. The defense chose not to call any witnesses. Hamilton and Abbotsford airports get boost. Formerly sleepy secondary airports in Canada's 2 busiest air markets are in for a new lease on life thanks to the rise of discount airlines and projected growth in travel over coming decade. Airports in Hamilton, ONT, and Abbotsford, BC, that have traditionally played second fiddle to Vancouver International Airport and Toronto's Pearson International, were buzzing last week as low-cost WestJet offshoot Swoop launched service between the two, catering to the country's most price-sensitive passengers. Also in the news, event in Elmsdale to mark the opening of Nova Scotia's first electric vehicle fast-charging network. Treasury Board President Scott Brisson makes an announcement in Halifax related to the restoration of coastal habitats. Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer makes an announcement in Quebec City. Federal Infrastructure Minister Amarjeet Sohi in Edmonton to announce funding for projects on automated vehicles. Manitoba Métis Federation in courts to argue that a $67 million deal with Manitoba Hydro be reinstated after Premier Brian Pallister killed it. Missing and murdered Indigenous women institutional hearing in Regina on police policies and practices. Sex assault civil lawsuit in Vancouver against former RCMP spokesman Tim Shields.